Donald Trump's big attack on Kamala Harris right away. Donald Trump is calling Kamala Harris, who possibly will now take over after Joe Biden as the presidential nominee, a lunatic. Donald Trump called Kamala Harris a lunatic. She's already the vice president, remember, and will likely become the presidential nominee now. Trump has said if elected, Kamala Harris will destroy the United States of America. She's most radical, far-left extremist, is what the conservative leader and clearly at this point Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump, has said. Let's listen in to what Donald Trump said about Kamala Harris. And this apart from, remember, the fact that Joe Biden not only made his first appearance, questions were being generated about where is Joe Biden. He has now made the first address to the nation and has said, "Kings and dictators do not rule, people do. Passing the torch to the new generation is important to shape the country. The decision that we have made will now shape the nation," is what Joe Biden has said. Remember, whether there were health concerns, coherence issues, a lot of questions were being raised on Joe Biden. Then he tests positive for COVID-19, goes into isolation, and a statement comes that Joe Biden has opted out of the race. This is big news, remember, because till now it was Biden versus Trump. Is it now becoming Harris versus Trump?
You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
If Kamala Harris gets in, extremists ever to occupy the White House times 10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House. And we've had some bad ones. No thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country in a year.
So let's try and get an update on this. You heard what Donald Trump has said and what Joe Biden on his way out has said. I want to now bring in from Washington, D.C., Rohit Sharma, journalist who's tracking all the latest on that. Rohit, welcome to India today. So clearly, can we say first, let's go with Donald Trump and Joe Biden, both who have made statements that Donald Trump is turning the retort even sharper when it comes to now. Doesn't matter if it's Biden or Harris.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Donald Trump, we saw the first few statements from him once it was clear that Kamala Harris is going to be his opponent. He was frustrated. He went on to say, these guys duped me, because they had to be prepared for, that he was going to run against Biden, and they, switched it at the last minute. So obviously, I think it's pretty clear that they're both Biden and Harris have been on his, has faced his sharp criticism and attacks. But I think he's going to switch it up now and, take it a notch up, higher, especially against Kamala Harris, because she's obviously going to be the nominee, and we'll see attacks like this, and in some ways, even vile attacks on Kamala Harris as the campaign progresses.
Let's look at Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, in one of the first address to the nation and the first big public appearance, has basically now said passing on the baton and dictators don't rule. But barely a month ago, he was the one to not leave at all, Rohit.
Well, look, Joe Biden needed a lot of convincing. He, in fact, went on the record and said only God Almighty could convince him.
Yes.
So there was obviously, going to be a lot of convincing done. He was shown a lot of data, and he was convinced that, he should step aside because his path to presidency, really did not, there was no chance he could have won. So yes, I think Joe Biden has done the right thing by the party. He's obviously saying he's doing it for the nation. He has to say all the right things. But it is very, very surprising that he agreed to do that debate in June, which is unheard of. So it's now time for him to sort of send a message to his supporters, to American citizens, to unite behind Kamala Harris. Now we have two candidates. We know it's going to be Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. There's no more surprise. There's no more drama left there. I think Joe Biden also wanted to do was leave, his legacy. It took time. He was recovering from COVID. But if you look at the speech today and some of the themes that he hit today, it kind of reminded you of who Joe Biden was as a person all these years in public service. And he obviously wanted to cap it off by delivering another good speech, which he did. There were a few fumbles here and there, but I think he delivered a good speech.
But it would have been more appreciated, isn't it, if this had come on his own? Because it's clear, he was definitely forced to take this step. He wanted a rerun, but nevertheless, it has come. It's come. According to him, his endorsement is for Kamala Harris, to which Donald Trump says she's a lunatic, far-left extremist. She will destroy the country if she's ever elected. Rohit, keep tracking the latest, because I would say the US election just got more interesting, and not at all has taken a downturn with the walking out of Joe Biden. But how Joe Biden has left is saying, I love my country, and passing on the baton to the next generation is the ideal way to go. Let's listen into Joe Biden.
I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. And we can never forget that. And I never have.